Well, hey, what's going on? Nick Kirby here. Welcome into another edition of Chatterbox Reds. Hope that you had a very Merry Christmas and hope you're getting ready for the new year. Hopefully, able to get some time off, enjoy it with family and friends. Well, a little bit of Reds news. We'll get to all of that here in just a second. Luis Robert, though, of course, continues to be the talk of the Reds. We've talked at length about that. Really great interview from Gordon Whitmire of the Cincinnati Enquirer that Stone Shields did. We put that in the Chatterbox Reds podcast feed, but that's also available on YouTube. So check that out. Really great insight to that, and we'll keep our fingers crossed that Luis Robert Reds get a deal done and also not have to give up a ton. But we won't talk about that today as we put out like 5 Luis Robert videos up on YouTube. Before we get started, I want to remind you about Omaha Steaks, our friends there. It's okay if you missed out on Christmas. Get yourself a Christmas gift with an Omaha Steaks package. They have all kinds of incredible stuff. Save big on gourmet gifts, holiday favorites, Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com, and for an extra $35 off, use our promo code Chatterbox at checkout. Terms apply. See site for details. omahasteaks.com, promo code Chatterbox. All right, well, let's jump into it. The Cincinnati Reds signed Michael Chavis to a minor league deal, the deal everyone was looking for this holiday season. I love when there's minor league signings, and we post it on our socials or it gets posted, and I never understood why people lose their minds over minor league signings and um, comment some wild stuff. I've said many times there's no such thing as a bad minor league signing. You're signing a minor league player for depth. But it is always funny to see the reaction that gets. I'm not expecting much out of Michael Chavis, but I will tell you about it because he's a member of the Reds organization, and you never know. You could see him at some point in a Reds uniform, but it's a minor league signing. Minor is the key word in this. Chavis had kind of an interesting career. He was a former first-round pick with the White Sox. He was actually a top 100 prospect in 2018 when he got busted for PEDs and got an 80-game suspension. He did rally from that. He had a pretty good rookie season in Boston in 2019, hit 18 home runs in 95 games with a 96 OPS plus. Chavis then earned the nod as the Red Sox everyday first baseman in the COVID-shortened 2020, but really struggled, just had a 67 OPS plus. 2021 didn't go well for him. He got traded midseason to the Pirates, only played 43 total big league games that season. Did play 129 games for the Pirates in 2022. That was by far the longest run of his career. He had an 83 OPS plus as the Pirates' primary first baseman, but he did also play some at third base and second base that season. Chavis would play 48 games for the Nationals in 2023, but that was the last time that we've seen him in the big leagues. He's been all around. He's been in the Mariners, White Sox, and Dodgers organizations since. After getting released by the Dodgers in July of 2027, he actually went over to Japan. Did not hit well in Japan. Just a 171 average and 619 OPS in 38 games. Now, MLB trade rumors pointed out he hasn't been terrible in the minor leagues the last 2 seasons. A 103 WRC plus in 740 plate appearances between multiple organizations in AAA in 2024 and 2025. Does hit lefties a little bit better throughout his career. His right-handed batter, only 5'10", 716 career OPS against lefties. Now, the important thing, I think the things that the Reds are looking at, which we'll talk more about here in a second, solid defender that's played multiple positions. Now, this is outdated because he hasn't played the big league since 2023, but he is a career -2 outs above average, -2 at third base, 0 at second base, and +1 at first base. And yes, I do know that adds up to -1, but there's some rounding thing in there in his career numbers for StatCast. But again, that's a positive defender. Anytime you get someone that's close to 0 that can play multiple position, that would be, I would consider that a plus for the defensive side of this. So Chavis, he gives the Reds some depth, something that I think is needed in the minor leagues, especially at AAA. MLB Trade Rumors also pointed out that if there's, say, a scenario, say the Reds get to the end of spring training and they have a bunch of injuries and they need to put Chavis on the big league roster for like the first week or 2 weeks of the season, which is possible. There's all the time players just not ready the first week or two, and then they're able to get in, by mid-April. He still has a minor league option. So the Reds could actually put him on the big league roster. They'd have to add him to the 40-man roster. He's not on there now. But they could option him down to AAA. And assuming there's nothing in the contract that we don't know about, he could actually just go down to AAA and use an option and be able to be shipped back and forth. I think up to 5 times is the new limit on how many times you can ship a guy up and down. But there is at least the possibility that like a lot of other minor league signings where they've exhausted all their options, you put him on the big league roster, you try to send him back down, he has to go through waivers. Again, probably not something you're worried about with Michael Chavis, but an interesting tidbit nonetheless. So really, let's talk for a second about the Reds' depth in the infield, because I think that's probably the biggest and most interesting piece of the Michael Chavis signing, more so than, with all due respect, Michael Chavis himself. Deep South Commodities is a proud supporter of Chatterbox Reds and our Deep Drive of the Day, and DSC is a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production, specializing in used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. Thanks as always to our friends at DSC. And we also want to remind you that you can call or text 988 anytime, day or night. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is a place to get support for anything related to mental health. Whether it's an immediate crisis, simply wanting to find out how to connect with care, or anything in between, it's a 100% confidential, secure, and anonymous way to reach out for help when you don't know where else to turn. To connect, call or text 988 or visit mantherapy.org to get help. It's okay not to be okay. So the Reds' infield depth is a little complicated, I would say. So looking at third base, you obviously have Brian Hayes, who the Reds, with what they gave up and what they're paying him, he's playing every day if he's healthy. But health has not been a gift for Brian. CES would probably be second in line behind him right now, I would say. Played a lot at third base in the minor leagues towards the end of the year. Sal Stewart would certainly still be in the mix there as well, although I have stated I think you should just focus on first base and stick him there and don't mess with it, but it's an option. Francisco Urbaez, a guy who had a really good minor league career, probably the top minor league guy at that spot. And you do have Edwin Arroyo and Leo Balcazar now on the 40-man rosters, who I don't think Edwin Arroyo's ever played third base, but you would hope that he could play third base. Leo Balcazar has. Now, they gave up on Lux and Steer at third base. Technically, I think that's a possibility, but the fact they didn't use them last year when that was kind of a dark hole for the Reds at times, prior to Brian Hayes, I don't think that's an option. Again, Steer rated really bad defensively at third base when he came up, and then Gavin Lux tried him there in spring training, and whatever they saw was not enough to ever try him in a big league game during the season at third base. One of the Tyler Callahan has played third base, but he has not played more than a game there since 2023. Now at second base, you have Matt McLain, you have Gavin Lux, two legit second basemen. That's their position. Lux, jury's out on how good he could be or not be there. Spencer Steer said that's his favorite position to play. Second base didn't rate good when he was there, but it's a possibility. Sal Stewart, of course, I really do not like him at second base. I think all the reports with his range, it would not work out well, but he played second base a lot in the minors last year. And then Tyler Callahan, whose primary position would be second base / left field, certainly would be an option there. Or Baez could play there, Arroyo and Balcazar. So kind of a lot more depth at second base. Now, first base, there's not as much depth there as you might think and hope. And I would not want Michael Chavis, a guy who's not hit well throughout his career, being a first baseman. But guys who can play first base, it's good to have. You certainly do not want that to ever happen. But your first base depth right now is Spencer Steer, Sal Stewart, CES, or Baez. Callahan played a few games there, but nothing extensive. So really, there's not a lot of depth at first base. I think, and I've said this before, I think Rhys Hines should learn some first base. I think the Reds talked about that last year. I think that would be a really good idea to have him acclimated there and have that as an option. At least a guy that has some upside, can hit the ball to the ballpark playing first base. And then maybe consider giving Tyler Stevenson some reps. If the Reds do keep 3 catchers with Rorgfret that they added this offseason with Trevino, I think they could potentially see Tyler Stevenson get in the mix at first base. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of where the Reds are at there. And there's not a lot of depth at the upper levels. It's really like our Baez and Callahan are kind of the not big leaguers. I know Callahan's on the 40-man roster, or Baez isn't, but I don't think most people are considering Tyler Callahan a big leaguer at this moment. But you really have those two, and then it's Arroyo and Balcazar, who feel like they're still quite a ways away from the big leagues. So getting a guy that just has the ability to play these positions, play them at least at an average level defensively, is a good thing to have. And I think that's probably why you're seeing Michael Chavis. And I wouldn't be shocked if the Reds try to add some additional middle infielders or some guys with some flexibility. I just don't think the Reds. I think Gavin Lux is going to get traded. I'll go and say that. I said that before. I think he's going to get traded, so I think you're going to lose him out of this mix. I just don't think you want to see guys like Steer or Stewart having to play a significant portion of the season at third base and second base, because for a team that's not going to rate out as a good on paper offensive team, they're probably going to rate out below average. You hope that maybe you could push for average, but that's probably about the ceiling for this team. You can't have bad defenders. Like, you have to, if you're going to ride with the pitching and defense, which I think for the most part I'm okay with. I'd like to see them obviously add. You can't sacrifice the defense, especially with not huge gains offensively. So again, that's why I think you see guys like Chavis, just to be some depth and some security for that going forward. So we'll see with Chavis. I would probably bet he never plays a big league game for the Reds, if I'm being honest. But again, not bad to have depth. Don't get mad. All right, well, that's all I have for today on this video here. If you liked it, hit the like button. Subscribe here at Chatterbox Sports on YouTube. Dropping another video also on Friday talking about the FanDuel Sports Network drama that continues to develop. So talk about that real quick. So be sure to check that out. And as always, go Reds.